Hi everyone, this is my article. Wrote this maybe in Mayo or April,
Hello.
I don't know, about Pope visit to Iraq. It's his first time he came to Iraq, and this is very important event for our country. So I guessed to wrote this and took advantage about this event to wrote an article and sociological perspective about this event. So this is my title here, the religious, social, and political dimension of Pope Francis' visit to Iraq. Muhtadi al by supervision Dr. Muhammad Rabani bin Bistami. So, problem statement. March 5, 2021 was a historic day for Iraq as Pope Francis visited to Iraq for the first time as a pilgrimage to the house of Prophet Abraham in or city, I mean, within the framework of the project of a human brotherhood or the Abrahamic religion, where the visit of Pope is considered the transformation of this project from theory to practice, despite the fact that the controversy exists between the Bible and history about the fact. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Is your mic on?
No, this is
Speakers, are you mute? Did you mute?
on this or this one.
Where did we get the echo from? All right.
Good,
It's fine now. No, it's fine now. Okay.
right?
Like this. Yeah.
Despite the fact that the controversy exists. Okay. Let me check.
Hold on. Yeah. Okay. You were on just now.
Oh.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's been done.
Oh, okay. Despite the fact that the controversy exists between the Bible and history about the fact that Abraham was born in or not, although the Prophet Abraham is the common denominator among the monotheistic religions, it is a source of contention and ideological conflict over God's covenant with Abraham between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The Pope came for peace in Iraq and the Middle East, or peace between religious and cultural diversity, and the Iraqi dealt with the Pope in good faith. The Pope's visit was a revival of their civilized homeland and the source of their salvation from corruption, violence, and terrorism. They hope that there will be a positive political change after this visit through the international community protection of the democratic system in Iraq and the consolidation of the values of tolerance and peace among the components of Iraqi society. A research question: can these religions overcome these differences for peace? Will peace be in Jewish, Christian, or Islamic color, or is there another way? So, this research came for reveal about this question and figure out importance the meeting between Pope and Sistani, Shia Pope. Also, research methodology and data collection. The researcher used an inductive research strategy through the qualitative and quantitative approach, collecting data, observation, historical references, scriptures, and an online questionnaire analyzing these data and extracting a conclusion. The researcher get 160 responses from agents. The questionnaire consists of the basic data and other dimensions mentioned above in the research title. Qualitative side. Abraham Fair. Pope Francis tweeted the day before he came to Iraq on March 4, 2021. He said, "Tomorrow I will go to Iraq for 3 days pilgrimage." He means in this tweet, or city, their Jewish and Christianity believe that Abraham's prophet was born in this city according to Bible. Genesis chapter 12, verse 26 to 31 tell us about this story. This is account of Terah family. Terah was the father of Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran was the father of Lut. But Haran died in Ur of the Chaldean, the land of this birth, while his father Terah was still living. On day Terah took his son Abraham, his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abraham's wife, and his grandson Lot, his son Haran's child, had moved away from Ur of the Chaldeans. On the other hand, we don't have sufficient evidence from archaeology or academic history about the birth of Prophet Abraham in city of Iraq. So this is picture. This is the court of our city. This is temple for Chaldean people in that time. It aged 4,000, more than 4,000 years. This is the people in that time, they worship God Moon. This is picture suppose the Ibrahim house in our city. Besides, this is the Qurat. This is heritage building. So, genealogy of monotheistic religion. Prophet Abraham. This is our grandfather. We have two sons, Prophet Ishmael, Prophet Isaac. Prophet Isaac, he has Jacob, Israel people, Moses. And also from this, we have Jesus, Christians. Prophet Ishmael, the second, the firstborn of Abraham, is the bigger son. He came, Muhammad the Prophet, and Muslims, and Arab also. So, the three monotheistic religions back to Ibrahim Prophet as our grandfather and us as founder to our faith. Abrahamic covenant. Actually, the problem among this monotheistic religion is about Abrahamic covenant, because Jewish have a new vision or they have own vision about Abrahamic covenant. Christianity has own vision about Abrahamic covenant. Islamic has different vision about Abrahamic covenant. So, Torah, Genesis, the first in the chapter 12, and then again in the chapter 15, where God says, "To your descendants I give this land, from Wadi of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates." Euphrates, this is river in Iraq. The land of the Kenyates, the Kenzites, the Kodumentes, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Kenyates, the Jecarapates, and the Jebusites. It is from those two covenants that the Jews obtained the concept of the promised land. The third covenant has some condition. God tells Abraham, on your part, you and your descendants after you must keep my covenant throughout the ages. This is my covenant with you and your descendants. After you that you must keep every male among you shall be circumcised. This is Genesis, and also this is references. And Genesis tells us in chapter 17, God gave Isaac descendants and authority, while he gave Ishmael just descendants. This is covenant in Old Testament, Torah. Gospel Angel, it is a new covenant. They pull apostles and form his idons that Abraham's faith, not the soul inheritance. Okay, inheritance of the Jewish, the birthright of all those who have faith and believe in the same manner Abraham did. So you see, those who believe are the descendants of Abraham, right? Paul in Galatians 3:7, chapter 3:7, in his desire to begin the process of transferring the contents of the ancient covenant to those who have faith in Jesus, from those Jewish who remain to blinded by the containing structures of their legalism, that they are unable to see or recognize the truth. It is Abraham's faith which forged those that of Jesus. Only now the table is turning somewhat, since Jesus has become the sacrificial son, the one whose death is meant as an atonement for the world, and it's the faith, not the law, that now represents the virtue of the true believer. The covenant that God struck with Abraham neither finds fulfillment in the Mosaic covenant at Sinai, nor in Judaism, but lives eternally in the believers in Jesus, who now become the true descendants of the children of Abraham. The stubborn Jewish have, for all intents and purposes, been written out of the covenant. Quran say, Holy Quran, the Quran denies that Abraham was a Jew or a Christian, but rather a Muslim. In Surah Al-Imran, verse 67 says, Abraham was neither a Jew nor a Christian, but he was one inclining towards truth, a Muslim, submitting to God, to Allah, and he was not of the polytheists. If we look to Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 130, we will know the covenant that with certain commands which he fulfilled. Allah said to him, verily I am going to make you an imam, a leader for mankind to follow you. Ibrahim said, and of my offspring to make leaders. Allah said, my covenant prophethood includes not zalimin, polytheists, and wrongdoers. So I make this table, this different covenant between three religions. The table shows the differences of Abraham covenant between the Torah, the Gospel, and the Quran. Torah covenant in Kenyan city. Gospel, Jerusalem by Jesus. Quran, Mecca. Torah, the covenant ideology and geopolitical. Gospel, salvation by Jesus. Holy Quran, leadership and prophethood. Torah for Isaac and his descendants. Gospel, Jesus fulfilled the covenant. Holy Quran for righteous persons of Abraham's descendants. Abrahamic religion, human brotherhood. So I offered this is a different covenant. So the Christianity lynched this is Abrahamic religion brotherhood. First Abrahamic religion appeared after the Second World War and established the Israel state. So institutions have been instilling in Europe and USA for peace among monotheistic religion. But after the attacks of September 11, 2001, the full-scale Abrahamic religion discourse was inaugurated as an ecumenical term to promote peaceful relations among the three religions at a time when they were perceived to be increasing hostile to one another, taken as an antidote against the clash of civilization. This is a process processed by the likes of Brandon Lewis and Samuel Huntington. Abrahamic religion was meant to show the common origin and history these three religions share with an eye toward their future coexistence. It is kind of identification with Fukuyama thesis, the end of history and the last man. Therefore, when Pope visited Iraq as a pilgrimage to Ibrahim House in Ur City, Abrahamic religion transformed from theory to application. Pope arrived at Ur City on March 6, 2021, and he met with all religions and dominations Iraqi, and he reformed prayers with them. In his speech, which proceeded prayers with the representative of Shiites, Sunnis, Yazidis, Sabbinians, Kakais, and Zoroastrians. The Pope said, hostility, extremism, and violence do not come from religious soul. Rather, these are all betrayals of religion. We believers cannot remain silent when terrorism offended religion. Rather, we have to eliminate misunderstanding. We must talk from conflict to unity for the sake of peace for the whole of the Middle East. Bob, in this step, he wants that Ur City to be a pilgrimage city for all three religions. He complements the mythology of the common denominator and peace in the Abrahamic religion that placed after the 9/11 attacks. So I see that establishing for this term in order to 4 reasons. First of all, in order to Israel state, after installing this state in Palestine, the conflict between Jewish and Christianity has disappeared at the expense of the Arabs, and to settle the matters between Arabs and Jewish. The Abrahamic religion was exported in 2009. Obama gave a speech in Cairo, this speech regarding Abrahamic idea. Too many tears have flowed, too much blood has been shed. All of us have a responsibility to work for the day when the mothers of Israelites and Palestinians can see their children grow up without fear, when the holy land of three great faiths is the place of peace that God intended it to be, when Jerusalem is a secure and lasting home for Jewish and Christians and Muslims, and a place for all of the children of Abraham to mingle peacefully together, as in the story of Ezra, when Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, peace be upon them, joined in prayer. Transcript: President Obama addresses Muslim world in Cairo. As we witnesses, some Arab countries have been normalized with Israelite state in the Trump era. Two, to avoid the clash between Islamic civilization and Western civilization. This idea has also been touched upon by Huntington, clash of civilization. So Christian theology found that the Prophet Abraham is a common denominator among these religions. Therefore, this idea was promoted for peace, but this peace or interfaith dialogue starts from within in their religions and political ideologies. Therefore, always there is no entirely trust. Third, the rise of communist China, which is also represented by Eastern religions, is closer to Muslims in geography. Also, there are no historical problem between Muslim and China. This matter where is the Western side, which Muslims have many historical problems and still resist with them. Still, Muslims also have many commonalities with them, one of which is the Prophet Abraham. Christianity today tries to use this name for unity between monotheistic religions. So, in 1954, cleric Muhammad Hussein Kashif al-Kuta, this is a cleric, Shia cleric, was refused an invitation by the American Middle East Friends Foundation, where the conference was for the unity of monotheistic religion against communism. So, Kashif al-Kita replied by message titled "The Supreme Values in Islam, not in Pahamdun, this Pahamdun city in Beirut, in Lebanon." He said that the priority is to protect the Palestinians from the Israeli enemy. For the Pope came for love, because the first commandment to Jesus is to love God, and second commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself. This is Mark chapter 12. And pastors give borders a meaning to neighbor not only in the region but also in civilization, state or religion, as in the story of Semertain, who helped the Jew on the road, and he is not who the followers of Jesus, who said about him, "The one who helped the Jew is your neighbor." Therefore, Muslims and Christians are neighbors, whether in the common denominator between us or our proximity to each other, such as civilization or countries or peaceful coexistence with each other. Here, a quantitative side, basic data. This is gender, doctor. This is gender, and this is present male. This is female, and this is male. And age. This is 23, 26. 314, 214, 37%, and 41 to 50. 23%, 51 to 60, 10%, and 61 and more, 1 to 2%. Academic achievement, the majority from both graduated, and then undergraduate diploma, and then high school, middle school. Religious and sectarian affiliation. Shia majority, because I think this is represented the Iraqi diversity, because the majority in Iraq is Shia. So here we have majority Shia, and Sunni, and then Sunni came after. We have Sunni after Shia, and Christian also we have Christian here. Non-believer, we have non-believer, and also other religion we have. This is the minority present. Study data, the data related of the religion dimension. This is a question: is the Pope visit considered Christian or humanitarian motivates, Christian motivates just 20. A humanitarian motivates 21. Both 58%. So do you think that idea of Abrahamic religion is for unity and peace, or for the Christian evangelization majorly? For human brotherhood, they answer 44%. For a Christian evangelization, they answer 24. Both 30. This is a question: is the Pope visit to Al-Sistani? It's me. The Tunis. I can't see. Important stop in his visit to Iraq. Yes, 62. No, just 19. Perhaps 18. Do you consider the Pope meeting with Sayyid Sistani to be an Islamic symbol for the Iraqis, or the Islam symbol for the Shiite in the world? Islamic symbol answer 32. Shia symbol 35. Both 32. Is the Pope visit to Najaf city, Najaf city, considered the capital of Shia instead of the other cities? Yes, 8%. No, 21%. Perhaps 20%. Data related to the political dimension. Is the Pope's visit to Iraq at the time of the democratic regime considered the support of democracy at the expense of dictatorship? Yes, 36%. No, 31. Perhaps 31 also. Will there be a new national project between the commitments and political parties after the Pope visit? Yes, just 7%. Why? Because Iraqi have disappointment because of more corruption and violence and terrorism. No, 65. Perhaps 27. Will there be a major political change in Iraq after the Pope visit? Yes, 7%. No, 63. Perhaps 27. If the answer is yes, will the change be positive or negative? Positive 57. Negative 42. Is the Pope visit the political project aimed to paving the way for normalization with Israel? Yes, maybe 18.5. No, 45. Perhaps 36. Data related to the national and social dimension. Will this visit support national cohesion and community peace among the component of Iraqi society? Yes, 37%. No, 32%. Perhaps 30%. Will the visit enhance culture and religious diversity and acceptance of others? Yes, 44%. No, 21. Perhaps 34. Will this visit enhance national identity at the expenses of religious, sectarian, or ethnic identity? Yes, 42. No, 28. Perhaps 28. UNESCO considered that Iraq is in one of the throne of history after the Pope visit. Will this push the Iraqis to adhere to their culture heritage more than Arab nationalism or sectarian identity? Yes, 32%. No, 31. Perhaps 35. The last one. We will, after this visit, witness the return of Iraqi Christians to the homeland. Yes, just 18, no 30, 39, perhaps 42. So, conclusion. The purpose of the Pope visit to Iraq is the pilgrimage to our city, the Prophet Abraham birthplace according to Bible, in order to a human brotherhood according to Abraham's religion, where Abraham considered grandfather for Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. But we didn't have external sources about the Prophet Abraham except the Bible and Quran, and each book has a vision that is different from other about Abrahamic covenant. So, on the one hand, Abraham is different source, and on the other hand, he is a common denominator among monotheistic religion. As for a questionnaire religious dimension, Iraqis see that Pope carries peaceful motives for the region, regardless of whether it was religious or Christianity or not. As they see that meeting between Pope and Sistani is the most important point in this visitation, because Sistani is an Islamic and Shiite symbol. Furthermore, visions coincides between them in peace and policy. Political dimension, Iraqis see that Pope support democratic system and there will be a positive political change after Pope visit, and they didn't see that Pope came in order to normalization with Israel. On the other hand, they lost hope in the political class to reform the country situation and didn't want to correct the political class dialogue. Finally, the social and national dimension, Iraqis see that this visitation will reinforce social cohesion among the Iraqi people components and reinforce the culture of acceptance of others, but they are fluctuating in terms of the strengthening the national identity at the expenses of the other identities. So I see that Iraqi before Pope is not as Iraq after Pope. This is picture, this is Sistani, Grand Ayatollah Sistani, and this is Pope. This is postage stamp. When the Pope came here, the Vatican issued this is President Abraham when he left Iraq, and this is Iraq map. This is two rivers in Iraq, Tiger River and Faratians River, and this is palm tree because Iraqi leverage in the palm trees. We have more palm trees in Iraq, especially in our city, South Baghdad, South Iraq. Okay. شكرا لكم. Thank you. تاني مكسر.
عفوا. Okay, wonderful. Saya kecil. Like getting a new toy. I'm glad that our friend Muhtadi has written this. I'm even happier that he has presented an extensive presentation, slide presentation on the article, because it's a long article. In fact, I do think that this article has 3 articles in it, at least or more. Right? I've typed my comments, and I would like to share these comments with all of you. I think it is an important process for me to share the discussion with each and every one of you. Although in a few of your cases, you are like Muzakir and Iko and Sulaiman, who have Sulaiman has not completed his submission process yet. Muzakir and Iko has, so you past this stage. But again, there's a requirement for publication, right? So it is important to talk about publication, talk about academic writing, research writing. So this is an example that we want to learn from, yeah, and I want to share with you my inputs, my thoughts, and my discussion on this reviewing of this article together with Muhtadi. So I think it's good that you are participating in this process. I will share the slide from my part. So we will stop Muhtadi's slide. I will stop the slide.
Okay.
There, uh, there you go. Okay. And I will share my slide there. Is it being shared? Yeah, okay. Right. You can see it. There you go. All right, let me expand this so that this is the article. How do I expand this? All right. Okay. This is the article. Let me scroll down to what I have to my input with Muhtadi. Yeah. Raji, can we expand this or not? Oh, I can expand this, right? Shall I do this? Yeah. Or are you doing it? So there are two hosts here, Raji and me. Yeah. Host and co-host. I think I'm the co-host. I got it? Is that good? Right? Yeah, okay. All right. First of all, when we write an article, right, we will need to think about the abstract. And then Muhtadi has been kind enough to let us discuss this openly, publicly, right? But I think it's good for us, just like we present our PhD work, I think it's good for us to share our article as well. So what does an abstract have, should have, right? What should it convey? So if we look at the abstract, right, abstract is not a complicated thing, right? Okay, then let's talk about the authorship. So generally speaking, what this is my understanding with you as a co-author and all that, right? So since there's a demand to do co-publishing with the supervisor, that's me. What we'll do is to do it in a fair way, and that is we will take turns, right, to be the main author and co-author. So Muhtadi will be the first, and then I'll be the second, and next one I'll be the first, Muhtadi will be second. All along, I will share my inputs, well, share my thoughts. So in the publishing process, right? So let me go through the first point, which is about. So generally speaking, the Muhtadi has written a piece on to reflect, right, on the Pope's visit. As you all know, Pope is the head of the Vatican institution that's known as a Catholic Church, right? So there's the head of the Catholic Church is the Pope, right? Right. So the Pope has made a historic visit to Iraq, right? And this has never been done before.
Yes.
Never done before. This is the first time, and it signifies an historic event because for many reasons, right? First of all, Pope has never visited Iraq. Right? This is the first time Pope visiting Iraq, and Pope is bringing the message of peace, right? I mean, we are taking face value, right? The interpretation comes later, and the Pope is also revived or strengthened, reinforced the discourse on Abrahamic religions, right? Abrahamic religions are basically Judaism, the religion of the Jews, and those who believe in Judaism, of course, and a religion of Christianity, meaning the Protestants as well as the Catholics, right? Of course, there are many other branches of Christianity, and some would consider Catholic and Orthodox Christians. Yes, and some would accept some of these sects as SECT as mainstream. Some would say it's on the margins. Some would say it's not even Christian, and also some would say the Mormons, right? the Church of Latter-day Saints, right? That says Jesus Christ actually went to United States after he passed, and he went there, which is another story. So the whole broad church of Christianity. So that's another one. And the third religion, the third main religion is Islam. Right? So Abraham is the great grandfather of all these religions, supposedly, right? So that is a significant or an important significance. I'm repeating there, right, of the visit of Pope to Iraq, and Iraq has another significance because Iraq is the birthplace of Abraham. So there's a lot of multi-layered significance. Yeah. So that is another one. There are many other things we can talk about. Right? So generally, that's the picture here. So this is an article to reflect on many different levels of that visit. Right. So it's about the Abrahamic religion. Is about the unity of Abrahamic religion, the message of peace, and also the response of the public towards the visit of the Pope, right? Also, Muhtadi has looked at the different interpretations of Abraham and the message of Abraham, that kind of compare the covenant, Abrahamic covenant, yeah. So that's I'm giving a picture for those who have not read or who so that we are aware of what this article is about. So it's a significant article in many different ways. Yeah, so it's also a historic event that has occurred, but has not. I think people have kind of forgotten this visit and the significance by now because of the pandemic. This one happens this year, right?
This year, March.
This year, March, right?
5 March.
Yeah. So it's very recent. It's very recent. So okay, these are my comments. I have like quite a number of comments there.
Yes.
Then 21. Yeah. That doesn't include the side comments I have on the side. So this could be quite lengthy, but I think it's important for us to get into. So the abstract. So the abstract is a simple a piece, just a paragraph or two that would talk about one sentence, maybe two sentences that talk about the background of the research of the paper, and then the objective of the paper, right? And then some key the methodology, and then the key findings, right? So even the methodology is just one or two sentences would be enough, and then the methodology, and then the findings and results. But again, if it's empirical kind of paper, some papers are not empirical or conceptual, so there is no findings as far as empirical findings, right? But there are certain assertions or some conclusions that have been made, or some model that's been put forth. So an academic paper or research writing can be both empirical or conceptual. They always talk about this too, right? Yeah, conceptual implication, right? So now the way I look at it, as I said just now, that this paper has actually at least 3 papers in there. So people talk about that, which is good. And then when you have as I said before in Eco's session yesterday, it's better to cut rather than to add, right? So and it's even better to cut and then turn it into 2 or 3 articles. It's even better, right? So that I'm answering the question number 1 there. Question number 2, some simple questions first, right? Simple points I want to raise first. Keywords. Should Ali Sistani be a keyword in this abstract? Now I'm gonna question and I'm gonna answer this question. Usually we do not put the name as a keyword. Usually we don't, unless the name signifies something that has become a term for Abrahamic. Abrahamic covenant. A term, right? So usually we do not put Jesus Christ, Muhammad. Nah. That would be almost a term. It's a term, right? Now, so unless an Ali Sistani become a term, we do not put that. But I'm holding it back just in case there's something that can be considered. Now, let me answer it differently. It depends on whether it is a scopus term or not. if you look at Scopus or ISI or one of this Q1, Q2, it is considered a term. Under that, you can put it as a keyword. So I'm answering that by two different ways there. So that's why I put a question mark.
Let me explain just please. I put this at Sistani why? Because we have in Iraq commutative between Najaf city and city. We have two theories, it's different. So Al-Sistani supports process system, and he said we don't interfere with political direct. In Iran, we have this
completely different.
Yeah. Faqih and the cleric and Grand Ayatollah interfere direct in the political.
Yes.
So we have two visions.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
So when Pope chose Al-Sistani to visit him, parties to back to Iran, supported by Iran, attacked this vision. Attacked this attacked this movement. They say no, this is Pope came from Israel from Israel social media.
Sure.
So for this reason, I put this is mentioned this is inside my research.
Okay,
Yes.
I see your point there. So I'm leaving it as a question mark whether that is a point. So I mean, there's some you just consider that. Yeah. Normally it's not, but as I said, if the significance is there, and I mean, of course, all political leaders have their significance. But then you want to state that he represents the head of the sects, for instance, right? So that would be one way to justify that. So, whereas Sunni doesn't have one leader, so to say, right? These are minor things, right? So I'll be asking the question: what are the key concepts? What are the key findings of this chapter? So that is actually the way to think about this article, no, chapter paper. So when you think about what is it that you want to convey as key findings, right? That would reformulate the orientation of the paper. So what is it you want to highlight? The connection, Raji.
Maybe the paper.
OBS are successfully reconnected. All right. So if I may repeat the point I made just now, because there's problem with connection, the key findings, the key concepts, yeah. So when we can think of what key findings that we want to highlight, we can orientate the writing, we can shape the writing in the direction of the writing towards the findings. So if you want to highlight, I will give you some examples which I identify, right? When highlight maybe about the something else, then the findings will actually shape the orientation of the whole chapter or the whole paper, right? So that's one way to think about this paper when you have a lot to say, and you do have a lot to say, which is great, right? So and they are important in their own ways. They are important in different things, right? So the fourth question is actually what is the aim of this paper? So then we will go through some possible orientation or aims of this paper. These are the possibilities: 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are discussing the papers, the orientation of the paper, the aim of the papers to say. Is the aim of the paper to reassess or reevaluate the Abrahamic covenant and the history surrounding it, hence examining some possible contestations and commonalities, as well as proposing some possible resolutions and the points of harmonization, right? Do you want to discuss the ecumenical agenda of unity? Ecumenical is an agenda of uniting the church or uniting religions, right? In this case, it's Abrahamic religion. So this is actually a phenomena or agenda that have been put forth. I think the Europeans time when there were too many fightings among the religious, different religions in Europe, and so they find that religious harmony through religious unity can be put forth. Is that what we want to do with this article, right? To reevaluate the Abrahamic covenant, which is very important, and I think there's a space to discuss this, and this is a very good way to highlight or to signify this visit is about revivalism of the Abrahamic covenant, right? I think that would be a good title. I don't know what, forgot what the title is now because I got so it could be if that's what we want to do with this article, right? Which I think should be an article, right? Should be if not the article, it should be a separate article, because this is I think it's a milestone in history where and Pope went and visit a Shia, right? Not a Saudi cleric or whatever, which is right, which is a Pope make a very bold.
He visited Emirat before he came Iraq, and he met with Ahmed Tayyib and
Okay.
Azhar.
Azhar, yes, he went to Azhar. Yes.
He met with him before he came Iraq.
True. Yes, yeah, he went to Azhar. So, but then there's a symbol not as strong as the visit to Iraq. That's like the real symbol. The contesting one is two. Is the Iranian community,
Iranian community, and also
assistant.
yes.
No, when we talk about Shia is two.
Yes,
No.
Iraq imported, and the Shia, this majority, and the prime minister was from Shia.
Yeah.
Shia ruled the
Iraq.
government
Yes.
in Iraq,
Yeah.
and also Ibrahim House and the Nasriya city.
Yeah.
All of them Shia.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
He
and Abraham's birthplace. So it's
Yes.
very strategic. The whole symbolism is right.
And he established the city for pilgrimage.
Yes. So
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot that can be tied together to this whole visit, from the Abrahamic covenant point of view, and I think that should be a very good discussion, a good analysis that can turn out the message of peace, the message of unity, and to harmonize, right? The different religions, not just the different churches, the different religions.
Yes,
Putting Abraham on the top, right?
Yes.
Abraham on the, and of course the Jews, they reject Jesus, but they accept Abraham, right? Okay, right. So Islam accept Abraham and Jesus. So that is one possibility, right? That's one aim. Or are you proposing a new way to look at the Pope's visit? So that it can be about the Pope's visit. The first one is about the Abrahamic covenant. The second one is about the Pope's visit. So you can talk about 4 different ways of interpreting the Pope's visit. The first way, the second way, the third way, fourth way. 4 different
Actually,
contestations.
Doctor, we can separate Abrahamic religion or Abrahamic covenant with book visitation.
Yes.
It's linked with this.
It is linked.
Yes.
It is linked. I can see it is linked. What I'm saying is that it can be slanted differently.
Yes.
So one will be focusing on the Pope's role, and then you were talking about the Pope's origins in Argentina, So it's this. So the story is about the Pope. The Abrahamic covenant the focus is about Abrahamic covenant, but the Pope plays a big role. But the second one is about the Pope himself making a kind of a leap of faith to go and make connection, extending. So the story is about the Pope and the contestation about the Pope's visit. So and there are different views of Pope's visit, like
Yes.
you said, right? So you can talk about 3 different political reactions or ideological reactions, or you can talk about that. That's another way to shape this. And by the way, you can do 2 articles on it. The third one, or is this a study of a snapshot of public views of Iraqis about the Pope's visit and its analysis of these views? Because you actually have a survey conducted, I think 350 about yeah. So that is an article by itself, because you have a snapshot of reality of the public view, and if you put it all together, you kind of sideline it. It becomes the on the side, right? Whereas you can have one article, that one, right? One article, and that is a good article. It's a good article. Huh?
Doing how the public responds.
Yes.
Because
Yes, one article, and analysis of that, of the response, right? So I think that could be a good article to write too, right? So now, if you ask me what is the most important article, I would say number 1, Abrahamic covenant. But that doesn't. It's okay. We are not. We're not judging it. We are just discussing it. Or number 8. Question number 8. Or is there a shift in perception or paradigm or policy? Do you want to highlight or examine this as a vision of post-secularism, right? Proposed by Sa'ad Solom, like we actually wrote that. A third road between political Islam and secular nationalism. And I think this is a great debate to have too, because the post-secularism is where we are right now.
Yes, because according to my vision and my readings, Bob came with this is a project,
Yes.
brotherhood, human brotherhood,
Mhm.
and Abrahamic covenant religion, but also he needed application, practice this with the liberation
Theology.
democracy. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
freedom of democracy,
Correct,
liberation democracy,
correct, yeah.
because the church accepts this secular policy, accepts, and now America and Europe rule the society by secular policy, and this is policy is I agree with the church. Church, we don't have problem with this. So when Bob visited Iraq, he need to establish a brotherhood, human brotherhood, and Abrahamic religion with this secular policy. So this is third way. We have third way.
The
Third way.
Eden's
This
third way.
fit with the policy and religion, same together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this Salom talk about this article, simple article.
Yeah.
So I don't have sources. Just I capture the article when
I see.
the writer
Okay. Yeah.
wrote about this position.
So, but and this could be a mark of post-secular world ideology or whatever you can call it, or something like that, because it is a step taken by world leaders, world theological or religious leaders, and in a way, it brings religion into the public, religion into the peace process. It brings religion into a very important role in world politics, right? And so it's it kind of debunking the idea of secularism being the solution, but it's post-secular. So, and it's a good balance is in between political Islam and secular nationalism, right? So, and that has been a problem in the Middle East, more or less, right? kind of harmonize these two, right? Yeah.
I comment.
Yeah.
This book, I think, is one of the progressive book. Previously, before Obama stepped down, actually, he connected with the Cubans. So there is the peace talk between the Cuba and the US, not only for the Islam, but also the
Cuba,
that's
Cuba.
right. Before the Obama. So then, when Obama initiated to open the door with the Cuba, also the Cuba. After the Pope came to the Cuba, so it means I think I think the role of the Pope also not only merely on the the religion, but also in the
world politics.
World
politics. To transcend the differences.
But after the Trump, the US not continue to open door with the Cuba. I think this the Pope is initiative.
Very strong, and Pope was representing the other type of leadership, and then this. So that I think that could be another paper there, right?
Yeah.
That could be another paper there. As I said, that at least 3 paper, right? So that's that point number 8 that I want to say that now I do give some suggestion here about the conceptual thrust of this paper, right? So the conceptual thrust can be formed into different articles if you want, or integrate into 1 or 2 articles. I drafted a set of conceptual thrust for this paper. You may choose to use all or one or any viable combination. Is that the visit of Pope signifies 3, 4, 5 important symbolism in Iraq and beyond. So it's not just about Iraq, the recognition of Iraq or Ur, how do you pronounce the word? Ur, yeah. Ur as the origin, the monotheistic religion, meaning religion we believe in one God. Right? Abrahamic covenant, the beginning of religious history. History begins at Sumer, right? Right, so that can be one trust. Right?
As-Summer, yes, it's the beginning as-Summer, yes.
Yeah, Sumer, yeah. That's how you pronounce it, yeah, Sumer. Sumer, yeah. Number two, the papal visitation as transformative religious pilgrimage. So that's one trust. It is as not just a milestone, but it transforms events. It transforms the dynamics of world politics or Iraq, or you can talk about it's transformative. A religious pilgrimage, meaning it's not just a visit, it's a pilgrimage, a ritual, a spiritual journey.
Yes.
A spiritual journey, right? Like Hajj,
Yes.
almost like that. So he makes Iraq a significant spiritual place to visit, and just like Jerusalem, you place it. So,
Yeah.
and then he's inviting other Christians to come back to Iraq.
Now government prepared this for city and build the hotels
around the city. Yes.
For maybe receive the Christian from the world.
Yes.
Iraq, yes.
Yes. So that is another trust, right? The third is the revival of narrative or ontological or theological roots of Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So that is another one. There's a revival of this narrative, right? So because all this while has been contestation more than anything else, the conflict between religion. This is talking about how the religions are actually from one root, yeah, basically.
This is very complicated, actually.
It's complicated.
Because
That's what.
we don't have any sort of about Abraham. I mean, independence school.
Okay.
Sort.
Because they're all religious.
Yes, we know Abraham from Bible and Quran.
Bible, Quran,
Yes.
and
Bible
and
say
Torah.
Something.
And Torah.
Yes, Bible. I mean, New Covenant and Old Covenant.
Oh, okay.
Same.
Yeah, the Old
Yes.
Testament, New Testament.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bible told us about Abraham, and Quran told us about Abraham. And what is the root? What's correct?
Yes.
And this believe in that, and this believe in that.
Yes,
They're
yes.
very complicated.
Okay. Yes.
And we don't have any academic history sources about Abraham. Don't have.
Okay, you don't, eh?
Yeah, don't have. Especially his birthplace.
Yes.
The archaeologists say not in Iraq. We don't have any idea.
No
about
idea,
this. We
okay,
don't have
right.
an artificial. Yes.
Yeah, well, Abraham was long time ago, right?
Yes.
It's prehistoric, I think.
According to the academic history source, this is delusion history.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Why many people
Believe in it.
believe?
Yeah. Again, archaeological logic is one, but there are many multiple types of logic to establish certain existence, right? So archaeology is one of them. So so there's a fourth one. The fifth one, the emergence of a new discourse or narrative of peace. So we just focus on the peace as a conceptual thrust. So this is my input to you about the different thrusts, right? I do think that you will need, or we will need, to think of separate articles or focus on one article and then take up.
I think all this I mentioned in the article.
yeah, I know.
Some of them.
Yes, that's right.
So
That's right.
we need to separate.
You need to separate. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now I go into some specific. So this one is the broad but important basis of the article, right? The one I highlighted there. Let me talk about something more surgical, something more specific but important. The term visitation in Christianity has religious connotations. I'm not sure the spelling is right or not. Connotations. Check whether it's right. Yeah, that's right. It's that spelling there. Meaning certain religious symbolism. So it refers to the visit of Mary to Elizabeth. No, you got to research more on the word visitations. Why visitation, not visit? So in Christianity, it has a different meaning usually, right? So So you use visitation, it has different meaning in Christianity. So should you use that word or not? You should be thinking about that. Right? There are too many language problems. Okay, these are more about editing issues, right? So language. So when we write something important like this, it's more important to make sure the language is smooth and
Yes,
clear and all that.
of course, I would send this article to paraphrase.
Sure,
Yes.
okay. We will do that. I just need to note that then, okay? Number 12, if this is an empirical study that you have conducted, there should be a proper methodology section. So I'm not sure you have a methodology section here. I think you have a thin.
There is a methodology section, but it's under the introduction.
The introduction, yeah, I think quite thin there. Forgot, I just not.
You have to separate it.
Yes.
Candidates each or
So in writing academic paper, you need to have methodology section. One paragraph or two paragraphs. Especially if you have empirical, like what you actually have real empirical, you have graphs, but you do not have all the graphs that you showed me in your PowerPoint.
Yes.
You have it, the article doesn't show it, but you have it inside there. So I think that should be shown differently if you want to focus on that one, right? So is it there need if so when we write academic paper, there must be a methodology section there, even though it's one paragraph or two paragraphs, right? It doesn't have to be one chapter. Usually we do not spend a long time in methodology section.
Maybe Nico will send to me.
The paper, okay, you can share. Yeah, right. Must also state the type of sampling. That is an important one. The type of sampling, what is under methodology usually. Under a separate section, if the data is original from your primary research, then it should be presented and discussed at length. You may also want to use graphs to show the stats, right, which you did in your presentation. But I think it should be a separate article if you want to write about the public view there, because you do have some real statistics there. Yeah? The use of the word agents. I'm not sure what you mean by agents. Yeah, so
Agent mean responsible.
respondents, right? Ah, okay. So agents have. No, it's not FBI, respondents. So it's not agents.
Intelligent, right?
So agents here. So I was thinking you hire agent conducted the survey. I was thinking about that. So I get confused. So please elaborate further. What, who, and why use agents? That's another agent. The CIA agent.
KGB agent.
Yeah.
Also, maybe when I study sociology in Iraq, they say about responsive agents.
Oh, okay. That's a sociological term for the agency and structure kind of thing. When we do interview or questionnaire, we don't refer them as agents.
Yes.
So agents have a different meaning. Agents can be somebody who, the in intelligence. The other one is agents to get people to do work or,
Yes.
But just replace it with respondents.
Replace the respondents.
That'll be it. Or informants. Respondents. Usually in an article, we do not review the findings and certainly not analysis or speculation of demographics. At the beginning, I think you start revealing it bit by bit. So we do that at the findings at the end. You kind of do it in between there, right? So it's a bit confusing. So, but if you separate it, it's perfectly fine then. If you make it a separate paper, right? This is only that. So when I read more and more, I just type when I read, I just type. Now, number 17. You stated that Abraham has two sons. Please give your references. So you need to give your reference. Right? Note that this is not necessarily an accepted fact or narrative. Right? Judaism, Christianity, in some, I think Judaism doesn't accept that Abraham has two sons. I'm not sure, but you got to check. Give references.
If I I check if it's in Bible and Quran.
Bible and Quran. Judaism would have a different view of Abraham's.
Judaism in Bible, Old Testament, Torah, said Abraham had two sons. One from son of Hajar, slave,
Yeah,
slave,
yeah.
and son of Sarah.
Sarah, okay,
This is
okay.
free woman.
Yeah.
Son
Isaac,
of,
yeah,
yes, Ishmael,
Ismail.
Ismail, the son of Hajar.
Yeah.
And this is
Sita
son
Hajar.
of slave.
Yeah,
Yes, slave woman.
yes.
This is bigger boy, bigger son. And then Sarah pregnant and gave birth Isaac.
Isaac, Ishaq.
Why?
Yes, Isaac, son of Sarah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
This Torah said.
Torah, yeah.
Quran also said.
All right. Quran says that. Quran says yes. Quran.
also
That's very clear.
mentioned.
No, Torah says.
For-
But
one
Torah
point
says
of
that as
view-
well. Torah.
Yes, yes.
Torah says that. Then.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right.
So my point of view, this is clear. I don't need source about this. So this is clear. Familiar.
Put the verse in there then. Put the verse, the
Oh, yes.
Quranic verse, or put the verse.
Okay.
Now that said, okay. Now look my point now. Are there other literature that discusses the third wife of Abraham? There are the literature that talks about the third wife of Abraham, and had many more sons, and the name is Keturah. There's Keturah. You should do a research on that one, right? So by the way, in the Sufi world, they talk about the third wife, and the third wife has sons, 8 sons. One of son of name is Jawi. Jawi comes to this part of the world, comes Southeast Asia, comes to South Asia.
Abraham, you told.
As a third wife. This is the Sufi's text, not all Sufi text, but it's one of the
Maybe like Hitler not mentioned in.
like Khidir, Nabi Khidir. Syekh Abdul Qadir Jalani, there's another one, right?
Hitler, right?
So there's a third wife, Keturah. Now Keturah,
Hitler, I think.
What?
Prophet Hitler.
you know,
Hitler.
Sibyl?
Khidir.
Khidr.
Yeah.
The prophet Khidir.
Hitler.
Moses
Says name.
met with prophet
Khidr.
Khidir. Khidir.
Yeah.
Right? It's a powerful prophet there too, right?
Yes.
And Moses met him.
Met him.
Yeah.
But Torah said Abraham met him.
Oh, okay.
Not the same story.
The same story, okay.
Different story.
Yeah.
Abraham gave to him what does it mean? Same zakah. Gave to them what does it mean? Sadiq, mystic Sadiq.
Yeah.
This is don't they Torah say this isn't Mr. Sadiq. This is man from God.
Yeah.
They don't have father. They don't. He doesn't have father. Doesn't have mother, and doesn't have time in eternal life.
Yes.
Eternal
Yeah.
life.
Yes.
According to Quran, no, we have Khidr
Yeah.
made
Khidir.
with Moses.
Yeah.
Yes, it's different.
So there's a
He teach Moses also.
yeah. So what Muzakir is saying that there is other literature that talks about the third wife of Abraham.
Yes.
Also in the English literature. This is English
Yes,
literature.
Keturah,
Keturah, yeah. So the Keturah is the third wife, and Keturah is supposedly from Himalaya there. So and one of the sons of Keturah is 8 sons. One of the sons name is Jawi. So Jawi, Java, and then Jawi.
Jawi
Jawi.
from Indonesia.
Yeah, there you go. So there's another prophecy of that, another type of prophecy. There's another prophecy. So they talk about the rise of the end, end of the world. The rise will come from this side of the world. There's also another. So there's another literature just to show that after all, this is all theological, right? Not necessarily historical facts.
No, this is theological.
Theological. So we need to know that it's theological. So the sources must come from Holy Scriptures mostly.
Yes.
So Holy Scripture. So it's not historical fact as we know it. So that's point number 17. So when we write, we write in a objective sense. And we recognize that there are different narratives about Abraham and three wives. For all you know, he might have fourth wife, but it's not recorded. We don't know, right? Do we know? No, no, the Quran doesn't say Abraham doesn't have 4 wives. It doesn't say that, right? It says 2 wives. This is maybe a third one. Quran doesn't say that, right? So, anyways, I'm joking, but half joking. We never know. We never know. Right? After all, he lived more than how many? What we believe 100, 800 years? How many years?
More than 100 years and 70 or 5, 60.
Something like that. Over hundreds years. Yeah. So good for him. So what do you expect? You have more than one wife? Well, I don't know. If people live 40 years of it, they also
people like today.
can't do it so much. Just joking. But if for somebody who live more than 100 years, man, you never know. But I'm just joking, but hopefully it's not sinful like my joke. Where is it? So, that is point number 817. Point number 18 is the significance of religions in the Middle East vis-a-vis the visit limited to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. How about the Sumerian religion?
We
So
don't have Sumerian.
you don't have no. Okay.
This is extraction.
All right. So, I put it as a question. So, does it have any? That what the like in Iran there are other religions besides the Zura, the Zoroasters, yeah.
Zoroaster in Iran.
Yeah. And so I put a question.
Minority.
Yeah,
We have in
minority.
Iraq Muslim, Christian, and Zaydiya.
What's
The
Azidiyya.
the Yazidis, yeah, Yazidis and all that, right?
No, Yazidi. Azidiyya. Azidiyya. They also we have Subian, Subba.
Okay.
Subba.
This
Yes.
the oldest one.
Oldest one.
That's one.
Subba and Azidiyya, actual name, his origin from Abraham also.
So,
What is Sobi'in?
Subi'in.
Sobi'in. That's
Yes.
what I say.
Yes.
So
Wanasoro, Wasobina.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what.
Yes. So I don't know, maybe I put a question mark there, something to think about. Maybe you can put a footnote.
Religion again.
What is that? Tandis, you want to say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Prof.
Okay.
We have another religion in Iran, Zoroastrian.
Zoroastrian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
They worship the sun. Am I right? No. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. No. The
Zartosh, Prophet
Fire.
Zartosh, and all. I think Brother Muhtadi know, and in we have
the symbol is fire.
Worship fire. Worship fire. Okay.
Yeah.
Eternal fire.
The oldest religion in the East.
Majusi. Majusi. Yeah. Majusi.
That's Majus, right?
Majus.
No, Majus. No.
Oh no, Majus.
Zoroastrianism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Zoroastrianism.
Yeah, that is,
The fire is the symbol.
fire symbol.
Before Islam, before Christian.
Oh, I see. And the Nabi is called Zoroaster.
I don't know.
Zoroaster.
Zoroastrian. Illustration.
The Nabi, right? The prophet. The prophet.
Okay.
Zoroastrian. Zartosh.
Yes, Zoroaster.
Yeah.
Okay. That's Zoroastrian. Yeah. Okay. Alright.
Sure.
So then Nietzsche using the name of the Zarathustra.
Yes.
In Singapore and in Indian
Singapore has it
have a
too, yeah?
temple.
Singapore has all religions, by the way, supposedly. The other day I was in Singapore. They talk about they have them. Singapore has, yeah. I remember. Baha'i?
Baha'i from religion.
They're all religions.
From Islam.
Yeah.
In Iraq also?
In Iran.
Iraq in border, right?
I think border in Iraq
Oh,
little, but they don't talk about
I think Buddhism know about this religion because three things is common with Buddhism: a good behavior, good act. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Well, so that's point number 18, yeah. That's point number 18. So point number 19, I said be careful with generalizations. Iraq for the world, it is the first civilization. From it innovated writing and the first of sciences. Muslim believe in the kingdom of God will be in Iraq by Imam Mahdi and Jesus in the future. So it's okay to make these statements, but if you have reference, so it's not you're not making these statements, you're making references to, there are views about this. But Mahdi, the people claim different Mahdi.
I don't mention the Muslim belief in kingdom of God. I think this will transform into to another topic.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yes, because it's the big topic.
Big topic, yeah, okay.
Yes. Of
So
course, Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia, yeah.
Yes, this is not good city.
Yeah.
Torah and Bible.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
yeah.
many Bible say this is simple evil city.
Evil city, yeah.
Mesopotamia, evil city.
Yeah.
And
Judaism
and Christianity in Revelation books of Revelation.
Yes.
Also, the Mesopotamia and evil city.
Right.
And when Jesus come again, he will destroy this city, and we will establish kingdom of God in Jerusalem. So Iraqi,
Baghdad.
Iraq, not good city
Yeah.
according to the Bible.
Yes.
I mean, Old Testament and New
Yes.
Testament.
I kind of remember.
It's very intensive.
Very.
For this reason, I don't mention that here.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I talk to people about the
Mesopotamia.
truth,
Yeah.
oh, it's true.
Yeah.
No peace.
And that's true. The reason I remember that is also that, and I took a course in Judaism in Wales, an undergraduate audit course, because at that time the advisor of Malaysian Student Association was head of the Judaism studies, isn't? So I went. So whenever they mention Baghdad or Mesopotamia,
Yes.
right, they would speed.
گفتار من
Speed.
کردار من
Speed,
پندار
right.
تیم
Yeah,
good
so
team.
it's true, like what you say. So there's that. So, why? So that's why telling me it makes sense. So whenever they mention it, they will speed. So what? It's like okay. Yeah, but I was the only
Torah says,
Muslim there.
Mesopotamia birth civilization, and when they grow up and become big, God scared from them.
Oh, okay.
And
So it's like
God decided to
it's like
destroy them.
evil villain
Yes,
monster.
destroy them, and I said that like God jealous from them, and God, I will destroy them and make them multiple nations and multiple languages.
I see.
The Torah say that. So Iraq not good land for according to Bible.
Yeah, but well, Baghdad become the richest place during his time. So good or not, is very rich. So, anyways, that's the point about generalization there. So make sure you give references when you example UNESCO considered that Iraq is the throne of history. Just give it references. So references is important. So I said when you make a claim on an empirical fact, show the reference there. This Christian rebuilding effort is an important development. Does this development tie in? So a certain sentence you make, I'm not sure how it ties with your work. So this is my general feedback. All right. Let me see whether I have something on the side. Something on the side here. The side. Maybe not much. Or language, meaning, I'm not sure. Okay, there's political view about this. I think this is, and it's not mine and not be. Okay, let me see. There's some point there. I said this Christian rebuilding. This is the part. Yeah. this Christian rebuilding effort is an important development. Does this is a development tie in with your main thesis, your line of argument in this paper? So you have a whole section here, I think, which is, I think, about 1 page or more, 1 page or more, that talk about the Christian rebuilding, which is about bringing in, I think, the Christians into Iraq. So that is another dimension to this whole discussion, I think, which is I thought it was very fascinating as well. So I think I'll adjourn there first. Let me see. Okay, then the way you write sometimes, yeah, Muhtadi, you use the word I suddenly. So there's a shift from general discussion to an I mode sentences. So if you use I from the beginning, you keep the I. If you do not have I at the beginning, you do not want to use I. Use the researcher or something, right? Or make it into passive tense. So you do not have the active not. It is also observed that there is controversy between Sunni and Shia. So do not use the I, because you do not have the I most in the beginning. Then suddenly there's I, and then you also use the word we sometimes.
We.
Yeah. So which one is? And I ask the question: who's the we here? Are you taking you and the are you talking about the we being you and the what is it, the reader, or we being Iraqis or what, you know? So and then sometimes there's some vagueness. You say term there, right? So are you referring to the Abrahamic covenant, or are you referring to the ecumenical, right? So I think the rest are general comments. I think we don't have to go into it. Italize non-English words and give at least a brief explanation in the footnote or endnote. So if it's like fiqh or something like that, faqih, right? Guardianship faqih. It's a non-English word, right? You italize it and put a brief explanation, at least a brief explanation in the footnote, right? Because when you use faqih, the non-Muslim might not understand it. Even the Muslim might not completely understand. Like the Indonesian, they use just fiqh.
Well, faqih, you mean the wilayatul faqih?
The poor, the poor.
Oh yeah, wilayatul faqih is the special term in CA actually.
Okay. Oh, I see. So I'm not sure what is it though.
Yes, the English guardianship faqih, but also same in English. I think this term
Faqih, it means the
wilayat,
authority, right?
wilayat al-faqih.
Wilayatul faqih.
But
Ulama
fiqh.
authority.
The fiqh. So, anyways, I think the rest are be careful with political statements or qualitative when you say, is it you were talking about the Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa Kazemi tried to take advantage of this opportunity. So, I mean, this is a political statement you're making, right? So, just be careful, because we are writing an academic paper. Unless there's an important part that you want to say, you got to justify it, right?
Yes.
Or you can say there are claims that So you are not making a statement. There are claims that the Prime Minister